Don't let enhancements and beautifying methods stop you from taking care of the true issue. It is not going away. It would only get worse.
This is Back to the Barber, where scalp conditions are met and maintained. It's your host, AQBS, but most importantly, a fellow client. Hope all is well today, gents. The primary topic is the dark side of enhancements, seconded by other relevant information and commentary. So let's get started. You can't go to any social media site that has hair, despite ethnicity, and see some sort of barber using enhancements or a salon using enhancements. Anything from dyes to fibers to glues and hair pieces. It's becoming really mainstream and it looks really good. Now, most of them, if they do their jobs and you get a pretty decent admin or talent, you will coming out the shop looking better than you went in. As a matter of fact, you will go into the shop looking better when they use the enhancements. Now, obviously they're temporary. It doesn't really represent who or what you truly are at the point from a health perspective, but it does look better. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 points of the dark side of enhancements. So point number 1, the chemicals and the toxins. If you find yourself with patches of hair that are not growing, or a hairline receding or thin, or areas of your hair, regardless if you're a woman or male, or woman or man, or if you find you need to add pieces to your hair in order to make it thick enough for styles, and or having to use hair pieces or systems as a man to cover up extreme balding. I do understand why, and the visual aspect of it is your primary reason why you're going in that direction. We all understand that, because looks and the visual is 80% of the information we take in when we first, interface with something, right? So it's a huge impact in changing how you look using enhancements. However, point number 1 is you have to consider the chemicals and the toxins of these products. It's not that every product is toxic or what's inside of it is toxic or bad. You just have to consider that the body has to do something with it. The skin has to do something with it. The follicles have to do something with it. And when it's really non-biodegradable, you can imagine what happens. And eventually anything that it can't break down will cause some sort of hair loss, hair stunting, because we always talk about hair loss. We don't talk too much about hair stunting. Your hair is not in its ideal condition because it's stunted. And if it is stunted in the area that is to you very important visually, thickness and or the front or temples, then you can imagine using products will make it even worse. So you have to do it more, right? So the chemicals and the toxins that are used, especially glues, cannot help. They can't help. They can't help. So when you do use that, this is what you have to think about or remember. I am making it worse. That's it. Number 2, covering up the problem areas so you don't have to deal with it. When we cover up these areas,
such as with hair pieces, wigs, braids, with fibers, with dyes, in order to make the visual look better. You are covering up the problem, but you are not fixing the problem. It's not a solution, it's a cover up. It's like if you had a problem with reading, right, in elementary school, and instead of practicing reading, you decide to only deal with comic books where there's short phrases, or picture books, right? At the end of the day, it's going to become harder for you as life goes on. So covering up the problem really doesn't help you. It kind of patches the problem for the moment, but covering up the problem a lot of times makes it worse based on how we had to cover it up. If it's using a chemical, especially a glue, if it is using anything that's not biodegradable or anything that is unnatural, while it's fixing one thing visually, it is harming the very thing that it's attempting to cover up. So we got to kind of deal with the problem and not just cover it up. The third thing I want to mention is it's an addiction of the visual. When you begin seeing yourself in a certain light, your mind gets used to it, your body gets used to it, the people around you get used to it. This is why many people, once they have a dye, they keep using it. This is why when people use enhancements, they keep using it, because that impact of what it looks like. And if you don't use it, just doesn't look quite the same. You're not as confident or happy without it. So on one end, it begins to kind of deal with the visual. Over time, you start to see that it's starting to deal with your confidence, because as it becomes worse and worse, you begin to get less happy, and then even the enhancements don't work quite as good, because now it becomes, you really have to kind of lay them on, and you are not as confident in yourself without them. Now you become almost addicted to this physical filter you're using. You're addicted to it. Just like many people will not post without a filter. Many people will not walk out without makeup, man and woman. And many people will not walk out of the shops without these enhancements, right? And many barbers, seeing the difference between the look of the natural versus the look of the actual unnatural, they start steering toward the unnatural naturally. Especially if you have problem areas, they want your work to look good. You want to look good, but nobody's thinking about the fact that there's a reason why you are not looking so good. So these are 3 points of the dark side of enhancements. Not saying that you can't and shouldn't do that. I'm simply saying kind of look out for these points as either the person that is standing above the chair or below the chair. I highly suggest that you look at your follicle as something that can be fixed. It can be healed. Just if you think about it, if your follicle could not be healed, then you will be wearing all the scars of childhood still in your face. But that's not the case, right? Consider that. You can regrow all your hair back. You can get your high school hairline back. You can get your baby hairs back. And as a woman, you can have thicker, fuller, younger hair. But you have to put in the work, and enhancements ain't gonna get it for you. So that's my video for today. Hopefully something here has helped you to halt hair loss and or restore it. If so, hit the like or subscribe. If not, give another video a chance. I am pretty sure you'll find something interesting. But if I can do it, you all can do it too. Let's get you back to the barber.